Kimu SDC with you here today. And we got to start it off with the PLH. Peace, love, and happiness with you all day, every day. And today we got something wonderful to talk about. We're going to talk about dealing with depression and anxiety. So I got 10 tips for you, 10 wonderful tips. And starting with number 1, we're going to talk about breathing. Breathing, man, that sounds so. Why do we need to talk about breathing? Simply because of the fact that most people don't really know how to breathe. They take quick breaths, and quick breaths are the mind saying, I need more air. But we're doing it in short quantities and not getting the air that we need. We have to take deeper breaths, breathe from the stomach, or even better from the base of the spine, and get and optimize the amount of air that we're taking in. That's really important. So we got to start getting into that rhythm of making sure that we're getting optimal amount of air into our system. It's the life force. I know when I started breathing deeper, doing more deep breathing, I became real cool, real laid back. And it felt great. I was cool, calm, and collective. 3 C's. That's when I developed the 3 C's. Was when I actually took the attempt to consciously make sure that I was breathing correctly. So let's make sure that we're breathing correctly. Make sure that we're optimizing the amount of oxygen that we're taking into our lungs. Man, some wonderful air. Yeah, I'm inside, but it doesn't matter because I'm still getting air. I got the plants out here. And those plants take us to the second topic, which is getting into nature. Getting into nature is so important because of the fact that we come from nature. We're one with nature. But we try to dissociate ourselves and control nature, and that's where we run into conflicts because we're not being natural. We're being something else. And I realized that when I was feeling depressed, when I was feeling anxious, I know earlier on in my journey, I was going through a lot of things. I was going through a lot of anxiety because I was like, this isn't where I'm supposed to be. This person isn't supposed to be here. They're causing me a lot of stress and negative stress at that. So I had to realize that I had to get into nature. I had to get away. And I started sitting outside in nature, hopefully when the sun was out, and sitting under a tree. Me and the tree would just talk about it. Telepathically, of course. But it calmed me down because that's where we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be in nature. We're supposed to be more in tune with nature. So we got to start getting into nature, doing our thing with nature. Hey, it's cold outside, but guess what? I got some plants in here, and I talk to my plants. And and they're always listening. Plants definitely listen. It's been scientifically proven that if you talk to your plants, they actually grow better. Besides just giving them water and sunlight, they actually grow better. So, especially if you talk to them on a more positive frequency. Positive frequency is positive frequency, and that's just always going to be great. But try to make sure that you're getting into nature. It's going to make you feel great. It's going to make you feel wonderful. And it's definitely going to heighten your frequency because you'll then begin to appreciate it and therefore appreciate yourself a whole lot more. So let's get on to the third topic, which is meditation. Whenever someone comes to me with a problem, or I have a problem, always meditate on it. I try to get my mind on a nice level. I try to imagine your mind as a vast ocean. Most of the time, our ocean is super turbulent, got a lot of waves going on. Fish not jumping out of water. We don't see too many dolphins. But every morning, I'm making sure that I put into my routine to meditate. I meditate before I do well, after I brush my teeth, after that, I'm meditating. I'm doing formal meditation where I'm sitting in a comfortable position and focusing on my breathing, focusing on the energy that I want to be put into my body, and also focusing on the energy that I wish to put into the universe. So we got to make sure that we meditate. If you don't know how to meditate, I have a video on meditation, how that helped me, some good guidelines on meditation. And I know that it's helped me. And from people that I've told, ask them, did you meditate on it? And they go meditate, they feel a whole lot better. That sea begins to calm. It's actually been scientifically proven that people who are in a more meditative state are, number one, on a higher frequency, and number two, the neurons in their brain send messages at a much faster and efficient rate. When I discovered that, I was like, oh, I'm jumping on the meditation bandwagon ASAP. But I wanted to higher my frequency, and I've seen the results. I've seen that I'm in a more calm state. I've realized that I'm not reacting like I used to. I'm responding. And there's a difference right there. Because responding is actually understanding and comprehending the situation, so that way you can put that energy out, the appropriate amount of energy into the situation to respond to it, rather than reacting based on emotion or whatever the case may be. So now that takes us to number 4. Number 4, stop comparing yourself. When we compare ourselves, what happens? We expect the same results at a much quicker rate because we only see the picture. Most times we don't see the progress. Usually when we see the progress, it's probably in maybe a workout video. Somebody's in the gym and they have a video of them maybe bench pressing or doing some pull-ups or doing some squats, whatever the case may be. But sometimes we need, in other realms, we need different things. When we aspire to have a lot of money, we just see that the person has a lot of money, but we don't know what they went through. And when we begin to decide, oh, I'm gonna be at the starting line because I see where the finish line is, but I'm not gonna run. I'm just gonna go ahead to the finish line. And no, it doesn't work like that. There's no such thing as you can't achieve the success you wish or the vision you wish immediately. You have to put in the work. I realized that when I began to stop comparing myself, because I used to compare myself a lot. When I was beginning to change my eating habits, when I saw people who were doing things that I aspired to be doing on a spiritual level, I was like, where's my results? Because I don't feel the way that they're describing. But you have to understand that there's a process. Every day, my number one quote, I think of this quote so many times throughout the day, is, quote unquote, Malcolm X. Without struggle, there is no progress. When you begin to understand, and overstand that quote, things become a whole lot easier on a mental basis, because you understand that you're laying down the foundation for you to progress tomorrow. You cannot change unless you change. Let me repeat that. You cannot change unless you change. So let's stop comparing ourselves and understand that we have to go through the things that we have to go through in our own way, because our world is different. But I don't want to be that person. I want to aspire to be where that person is. And that's completely different. So now that takes us to the next one. Number 5. Is what you're doing or what's in your life serving you? If it's not, get rid of it. It's very hard. I know. Been there. I had a lot of things in my earlier journey. I had a lot of things that were conflicting with the person that I am or the person that I saw myself to be. And when I realized that I felt like these bars were on my soul, these shackles were on my soul and wasn't serving me. They were asking of more from me and giving me less. Then I realized you're not doing anything for me. So why are you here? And when I say you, I'm also talking about situations, objects, whatever the case may be. So why are you here? Because you're not doing anything for me. I'm doing more for you. But when I realized and began to give up and just get rid of those things that weren't serving me, I understood that I could deal without. That helped me, and this idea helped me balance out my root chakra and understand that I'm going to be okay. Because now I'm grounded. I feel secure within myself. I know I don't need those things that don't serve me. Now I seek things that will heighten my frequency, that'll make me feel better on a more mental and spiritual level and not just on the physical. So now I'm encouraging you to get rid of those things that aren't serving you. Number 5, plant-based diet. Definitely got to promote the 7-day vegan challenge. Woo! But especially with a plant-based diet, eating the leafy greens. Why the leafy greens? Why the leafy greens, Jameer? I don't know. But let's talk about it. What do leafy greens especially provide us? Magnesium. What does magnesium do for us? It levels out our moods. It helps get rid of those mood swings because now our hormones are more balanced. They're not jumping all over the place uncontrollably because we can't control them. When I began to get onto a more plant-based diet, I began to realize, number 1, health is wealth. And I was definitely feeling better. Therefore, I gotta say again, 7-day vegan challenge. So I began to feel better about myself. I began to be even more calm. And I've been calm my entire life. Everybody who knows me knows that I'm super calm. But when I get aroused, I'm up here. I'm jumping through the roof. But I'm even more calm. So I was right here and now I'm right here. And it feels great because now I can, like I said earlier, respond to situations in a much better way. So try to get into those leafy greens, get that plant-based diet going. 7-day vegan challenge. And that takes us to the next topic, number 6, changing your perception. Why do we got to change our perception in the world that we live in? Because because that is the only thing that you have control over. The only thing that we really have control over is ourselves. And therefore, the only thing that we have control over is our response to situations and our attitude. Because if we control that, we can respond calm. We can be cool, calm, and collective. We can choose to see positivity in the situations. I know when I was just reacting and I had a negative mindset on the world, I took a lot of things personal. And the thing is, things aren't really personal. It's just somebody else's opinion or somebody else placing or more so imposing on the world that you're living in. And when we begin to take that power back and understand that this is the world that I want to see. I want to see a positive world. I know for me, last night, most recent, I just realized that there were some errors in the printing process of my book, Rise for Our Sake. And I had 2 options. I could respond negatively and be like, "Oh my gosh, this is awful," whatever the case may be. But I took it into a more positive direction and realized that this is happening for a reason. And I was like, you know what, maybe it's not supposed, maybe this isn't the correct time right now. Maybe it's supposed to come out maybe next week. And that is a more calming, more positive energy that's being sent out into the universe. I always hear people talk about the negativity in their life, but you can see the situation differently if you choose to. It's all about choice. Life is all about choice. So let's try to change our perception, get away from the negative world that we see and get into a more positive world, because positivity only brings positivity. That's why I'm always out here in front of you, giving you some great positive energy. Woo! So that way we can all have a happy world, and well, we can all have a positive world and not a more negative world. Taking us to the next topic, number 7, we gotta go to stop worrying. Why do we need to stop worrying? We gotta stop worrying because worrying is providing us nothing. It doesn't serve us, like I was saying earlier. It basically gives our imagination a negative nature in which we can be imagining more positive things. We can be envisioning more positive things and get away from that worrying aspect. So I realized when I stopped worrying, or when I began to worry less, what happened? I began to get rid of that depression and anxiety. I began to feel so much better. I began to heighten my frequency and be a more calm person, a more cool person, a more collective person. Because when we worry, it therefore comes with stress. Stress that we don't need. And when we put ourselves into a stressful state, goes back to number 1, we stop breathing on a rhythmic process. We stop taking in that good air that we need, and therefore we begin to hyperventilate, maybe have an anxiety attack. So let's get away from the worrying process. Let's stop worrying, and let's enjoy it. Let's enjoy the process. So on to the next one. Number 9. Do what makes you happy. Why is that so important? Because of the fact that when we're doing things that go against us being happy, and I'm not saying that we have to always be happy. No, because there's some negativity that goes on in the world. It's all about balance. But like I said, we choose what we want to see, what we want to perceive. And when I know when I began to choose to do things that make me happy, do things because I want to do them, and not because somebody else wants me to do them because it's the norm in society. Do what I need to do what I want to do. I became less stress-free. If somebody asked me to do a favor and I didn't want to, it's okay to say no. Trust me, it's okay to say no. Because what happens when you say yes and you don't want to do it? You go like, now I gotta do this. I don't really want to do it. And then you begin to regret. You begin to resent the situation. And therefore, which invokes negative energy. When we begin to invoke negative energy into a situation, nothing good comes out of it. Why? Because it's negative energy. You're sending negative energy out into the universe. Therefore, you're going to get negative energy back. So let's do our best to get ourselves in that position where it's okay to say no. I realize when I understand myself enough to know that if it's not gonna make me happy, if it's not something that I want to do, then don't do it. Don't put myself in a situation where I'm either going to regret it later or I may not follow through. Because not following through we all know how that works. Because other people are involved, you might lose a friend. Shoot, I've seen friendships end because somebody committed to it and they didn't follow through. It all depends on the severity of the situation. So let's do things that we want to do things that make us happy. I know every day I'm doing things that make me happy. I'm inspiring people. I'm making these videos not for me, but for you, because I want to give off this knowledge and wisdom in my journey to you, because maybe you're going through the same thing. I'm always creating, making sure that I'm putting positive energy into the creation, because we're all co-creators. So let's make sure that we're continuing to do what makes us happy, things that we want to do, and not things that we don't want to do. So that way we can continue to put that positive energy out into the universe. Number 10, let's get it. Last but definitely not least, and probably, I can't say that's most important, but it is what we're here to do. What are we on this earth for? To live, to be. We are human beings. That is something that we don't do every day, where most people are human doers. They're a product. They're providing something. They're what? They identify as what? I know when I was going for interviews, or somebody may just ask me, who are you? That was the hardest question for me to answer. Want to know why? Because the way that we answer that question is not to answer who, but what. What do we do? We usually associate our being with what we do. And what we do is not who we are. When I realize that what I do is not who I am, the world began to change drastically. I began to understand things better. I began to feel better about myself because I didn't attach myself to these labels and titles. That's what the world likes to do. Society likes to place labels on everything. And when I realized that I had to detach myself from those labels, I felt so much better because I know who I am. Hopefully you know who you are, or you're progressing to know who you are. But we gotta make sure that we're being and not acting. When we're acting, we're not being ourselves. Therefore, we're putting on these masks for other people. And sometimes those masks aren't a quality that we wish to hold on to. Or maybe it is, but it's not a quality in our authentic nature. It depresses the nature that we really are. And I realized when I was depressing the nature in which I am, and being this person that I wanted people to see me as because it was a norm. When I got rid of that anxiety, that depression, it went away. And it feels so good to be a human being, to be a being and not just a product, not just a worker bee, not just something in the system, but someone. A lot of times we don't treat ourselves as someone. We treat ourselves as something because we have to go do something for someone else. We are associated with whatever task that we have to do. And when I began to dissociate myself from the task that I have to do something for someone else and not for myself, because it's not serving me, like I said earlier, it makes things a whole lot harder. So I want to encourage you to stop being depressed, start living. It's going to make you feel a whole lot better. Start breathing, get into nature, meditate, heighten your frequency, show that love on a every moment basis. Therefore, once you start showing that love, you begin to be happy. We can all have a happy party and start dancing. And then we can always be out here like, woo! Kimu SDC with you all day, every day. Peace. I love you guys.